What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Trench Talk. I'm your co-host, Christian Royston, here with my other co-host, Logan Shanks. We've got a fun, action-packed, exciting, nonstop drama-filled week of football.
All the verbs.
Adjectives.
Or the adjectives.
Come on now. I feel like the talk of the town has been, when are the Chiefs going to lose, huh?
And they almost did. That was the closest they have gotten, honestly.
Yeah, Broncos do everything right, set themselves up for a game-winning field goal, and then Chiefs luck out again, blocked.
I was watching that game.
Was it luck?
Well, I was watching that game, and I honestly turned it off. I was like, okay, well, there's no. It was just one of those like, there's no way they missed this. It was 22 yards or something, 25 yards.
It was a chip shot.
Yeah, and just you were talking about before. I've seen a little bit of it, but you have seen a lot of clips where it's like, wasn't really luck. Like, it was set up to block that kick.
Yeah, and this is what good teams do, is they find ways to win when they're not supposed to win. And I think that's what separates them from the bad teams. Is a bad team would have just, that game's over.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the Chiefs, and they have to stay undefeated. So what they do is they found like the weakness in the line, which
they had been showing all game, apparently. Like, they've been lining up that same way.
Yeah, I saw Pat McAfee breaking down the film. You got a clear guy that's the side the ball's going on. You're on the right hash. You're kicking to the left, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In the left side, you have a guy who's just squatting, trying to hold up
a meat shield.
And he just gets put on his butt. That's just the clearest. Like, I guarantee the Chiefs worked on that. They've been working on that for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They probably knew going into the game that was going to happen. They probably knew by halftime, after some of those kicks had already gone, that if it comes down to this, we can actually just burst through this line.
Mm-hmm. You have a special teams coordinator for a reason. This is the stuff you practice, and I'm not sure who it was that made that block, but like, shout out the guys on special teams that are like, it's usually linebackers, corners, tight ends, running backs fighting for a roster spot. And that's how you get on, is when you put in all your effort on special teams when you have to.
Yeah. And I was going to look up his name because I know he's been working, I think Chanel. Is that Leo Chanel? Does that sound familiar?
That does sound, well, now that you say it, yeah. Because
that's the man who blocked it.
All right, well, there you go. Now, before that, had I heard of him? Probably not. But listen, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, like, the offense played fine. They played a pretty fine game. You kind of went into it thinking maybe this could have been a trap game. And you think every game is going to be a trap game now for the Chiefs because they're undefeated through 9 games. But and that was probably one of Bo Nix's best games too.
Yeah, he stays efficient, throws 2 touchdowns. As a rookie, you're going up against the top team in the league. Can you really ask for a better performance? Yes, you want to score more than 14 points, but you put your offense in positions to score consistently. So, that's, especially against a defense like the Chiefs, that's kind of really what you want to do.
Right. And they kind of just stalled out in the second half. They went scoreless in the second half, and they allow, 3 straight scoring drives from the Chiefs. But those last 2 were field goals. So it just showed you that neither offense really in the second half. It was kind of getting boring for me because I couldn't see anyone. It was like a battle between the 50s, it seemed like. Not really any turnovers. I don't think there were any turnovers in this game. So both run games got stopped pretty early. But I've never even been one of those guys that like, oh, F the Chiefs, I don't want to see them win anymore. I'm like, I think we talked about this last week. I like to watch great teams. And did they squeak that one out? Maybe they should be 8-1 right now instead of 9-0. Probably, but
yeah. And I've seen some posts. I think I saw a Twitter thread from like some type of news outlet.
I saw that too. I think it was Next Gen Stats, maybe. Or no, it was like 33rd. Was it like the 33rd team or something like that? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. how the Chiefs shouldn't win any of these games, and then went through step by step. And I feel like I have a broken record saying that. Like people are like, oh, if this one thing had gone differently, the Chiefs would have lost. But then it's like, yeah, if that one thing had gone differently, then all these other things went right for the other team, they would have lost, right?
Yeah. I mean, a couple of them are a little nitpicky from what I saw. Like the Falcons game, it was like, oh, they didn't score. They were in the Falcons were in the red zone twice and they didn't score. It's like, okay, well, I think that's just the Chiefs defense being really good. But like when you bring up stuff like, especially the first two games, like the Ravens game, you're like a toe away from losing. And then in the Bengals game, you're just the smarter team late, and the Bengals get a PI call to set you up for a chip shot. Or not even a chip shot, but a game-winning field goal.
Yeah. Although, like, the Ravens game, it's a toe away to then go into, like, overtime.
Right. True.
So. Again, if you know, the Bucs went into overtime and they lost, so it's like,
yeah, I guess how do you even say that? It's like, oh, well, if the Bucs went for 2, they would have won the game. It's like, well, we don't know that.
Yeah, they had to get the 2 point,
and Patrick, and they still would have had time too. So who knows? Maybe Harrison Butker goes out and kicks like a 58-yard field goal to win it.
Like there's so many like just factors that we can't just. The fact is that the Chiefs are undefeated. So.
Yeah, but will they be after next week?
That's true, because I mean, they have the Bills next week,
which that's probably the most excited I've gotten so far this year for a regular season game, outside of maybe the league opener with the Chiefs and the Ravens.
And I know Josh Allen threw 2 picks this last week, so his perfect streak is no more. You know, he's kind of dipping a little bit, but I mean, they still dominated the Colts.
I mean, what are they, 8-2? So
yeah, still one of the best teams. I mean, there's so many good teams currently. Kind of outweighs the fact that there's so many bad teams.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about them first because, I guess just the really good teams. Obviously, really excited for this Bills-Chiefs matchup. Bills are 8-2 coming into that. They snuck out a win against the Colts, but talk about sneaking out wins. Get to the Lions. I mean, oh my gosh,
history was made.
I couldn't watch a ton of this game. I was having you and our buddy Tyler keep me up with it, but I mean, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I was working during it, but I was getting like score updates from my manager. He's just keeps coming over. He's like, oh my gosh, Lions just scored another time. Like, and he's like, oh my gosh, they just tied up the game. It's like, are the Texans asleep? Like, what's going on here?
Were any of those, oh my gosh, Jared Goff just threw another interception?
No, because those all happened so early on that I was just like, game's over.
I mean, there has to be a stat out there floating around. How many times does a quarterback throw 5 picks and they still win the game? I mean,
well, that was the first time since 1970 that a quarterback has thrown 5 picks. A team is trailed by like 14 points or more and still won the game.
Isn't there a stat there too that I saw that Jared Goff is undefeated in games where he throws 4 picks?
Is that a stat?
I think it is.
Well, I mean, hey, that's just magic. Crazy voodoo man, Jared Goff.
But the Texans, do we need to be worried about the Texans now? We started to think maybe after the last couple weeks, but now, I mean, that offense, it looked like they had everything going for them. And when your defense forces 5 picks and you're only able to put up, what'd they put, barely 20 points?
Yeah, 23. I mean, the last 4 weeks, they've only won 1 game. They're 1-3 in the last 4 weeks. And their 1 win came against the Colts with, I believe that was still Anthony Richardson. Was that not the game that he completed like 1 pass